Welcome. My name is Maggie, and if this is your first time joining, thank you. I'm going to talk today about feeling like your writing doesn't matter. Maybe you've been putting off writing and because you feel like it doesn't matter, or whenever you show up to it, you're kind of hit with this wave of futility, basically. And I just want to say first that I'm doing this more in a vlog style. So there will be ramblings and gentle musings. This is not just an informational video, so thank you for sticking with me if you're here. I have peppermint tea right now, so this is kind of a tea chat about showing up for our creativity. And so much of what Regarding Do is about is stepping out of creative dormancy and moving through overwhelm. You know, what happens when we're faced with overwhelm, and stepping into creative gumption and living out loud and delivering the gifts that we have, even just to ourselves, because it matters so deeply. So yes, I have peppermint tea right now. And I also want to say that it is eclipse season right now. We're in the middle of 2 eclipses at the time of filming this. My cat's right behind the camera. Don't knock anything over it. No. Between 2 eclipses, if you clicked on this video, you might not be having the greatest day right now. And I kind of want to just pause on this because the emotions are intense right now. A lot is intense right now. And even if you're seeing this beyond the eclipse season right now, in the summer of, early summer, late spring of 2021, I guess we're technically still in spring, but you all, I'm so nervous on camera. It's kind of a funny thing to get used to because it can feel so comfortable speaking about what's on our hearts. I mean, it can feel uncomfortable too, of course, but it can, when you're in the flow of it. And it's really strange to look at this little black dot and not yourself, which, it's a weird experience if you're just watching yourself in the camera too. But to look at that little black dot and speak to someone who needs to see it, who needs to hear it, who is receiving that message. And, it's nerve-wracking. And so anyway, I'm showing up to do this because if you're feeling hesitant and fearful and discouraged creatively, I'm showing up for you in this way to talk about this. Okay, so let's rewind. This is a rambling thing. Woke up this morning after staying up way too late and was just in a shit mood. Really felt like, all I want right now is sugar, to watch the Gilmore Girls, and take a day nap. Okay, and that little combination right there has not been something that I felt in the daytime since college. So I was like, let's bring this back right now. And I want to talk about what I did, because this is involved with everything, right? It'll all kind of sort into the same picture together. So what I did was I took some magnesium to chill me out. So I feel kind of chill right now. Probably one reason that I got on camera and I'm doing this. Made some peppermint tea and took passion flower capsules. And so if you've never heard of passion flower, this is something to look up. I think they're generally affordable. They were, the ones that I got were. And it is an extremely supportive herb if you've been feeling depressed or low. And passion flowers, if you've never seen them, are also worth an image search because they're gorgeous. So, sorry about this window. Took passion flower and took a little ginseng, and so that comes in a root, or it can come in pills, or I'm sure capsules too. So I took a small pill of ginseng and got outside, got some sun on my skin. We have blue skies here where I am and are coming out of a long winter, and it almost kind of just hit me recently how we're in spring, we're in late spring, and everything is green, and we haven't seen that for so long, at least where I am. Okay, so offering that to you. Get outside, get yourself some passion flower. My cat is, of course, knocking things over because the camera's on, and he's hungry. And get yourself hydrated with water, with tea. Do what you need to do. I also spoke on the voice memo for a while when I was outside, and so if you have never made voice diaries or even vlogs, not for anyone else, just yourself, or journaling, good old, I mean, this is about writing, so you can, of course, land on the page in that way. I hope that those ideas might help you if you're also finding yourself kind of not in the best place this morning, or this afternoon, or this evening. You can always press restart in the smallest of ways, okay? So, when your writing feels futile, meaningless, who cares? Who am I to do this? I have nothing to say, I have nothing interesting to say when I do have things to say, all of those. So this really starts with, first I just want to talk about the foundations. I'm also not speaking on this at all from having the answers, I'm just sharing what has been on my mind about it, and I would love to hear what you think too. So I think, oh, do you hear him? He's getting wild. The first thing I think that is a part of this is that most writers write in the morning, and most people trying to hold a writing practice write in the morning. And I wanted to start in that place right now because you might have found yourself having, let's say, the intention, not necessarily the plan, but the intention to wake up and write, or the intention to have whatever your morning routine is, or if you don't have one, maybe there's the intention of having one, and then as part of that you write. And that might not be happening, showing up for writing, yeah? And so when you don't show up for writing again and again and again, and it degrades self-trust, I think a lot of it is because we're holding the intention, which can be pure, but we don't necessarily have a plan. Or we have a plan, and the plan is somehow not flexible enough to move within, to actually have a form, but to also move within what the reality of our lives are. And especially now, in my own life, I'm sure in so many people's lives that are watching this right now, collectively, globally, there's increased uncertainty and in many ways upheaval, and so we have to stay flexible, and we also have to stay close to what our commitments are and make sure that we have actionable plans that are doable to go with that. And so if you find yourself with the intention of waking up and writing in the morning and find that you're not doing it again and again, it's degrading self-trust, but it's kind of strange because it's like breaking promises to yourself, but they're like half-form promises, you know, they're not actually fully seated promises. I think it might be different for your experience. Okay, so there's the difference between practicing writing and being in that process of practicing writing and having these self-judgments come up around meaninglessness or questioning that, versus having a writing practice and having these come up within the container of a writing practice. Neither is better or worse. It's the same kind of thing as if you run inconsistently, kind of when you feel like it, or doing, you know, yoga asanas at different times, you know, more or less in different weeks, versus having a yoga practice, capital P practice, or a running practice, capital P practice, where as you change, as you transform, you can recognize that within the context of we can say formal practice or developed practice. It almost kind of becomes its own entity, you know? And there's a clear sense of when it's starting and stopping as part of that. And I've noticed for myself, I've noticed with talking with other people, that writing can be one of those things that happens more fluidly, and we don't have a sense of starting and stopping. Maybe you're pulling up tabs in between, or maybe the toddler is asking for food. Maybe your cat is going wild because he wants some food. So there isn't necessarily a container around that we could call our writing practice, where we show up for it in a daily or a near daily way, okay? So I want to highlight that first, because the context around these feelings of meaninglessness, futility, loss of hope maybe, it might be around practical things of like, I'm never going to get published, or who's ever going to see this, or this is just another sci-fi story in the drop of the bucket kind of thing. Those can be experienced differently when we either are practicing writing or having a writing practice. And so a couple months ago, I taught my first class, which was one of the best experiences. And it was called Growing a Practice in Creative Nonfiction. And it was a 4-week class, and I really made enough material for like 6 to 8 weeks. It was just so super condensed, and I'm thinking of bringing that back in the fall, maybe in September. I don't want to say a date. Kind of started to. In the fall maybe. And so if this is something that interests you too, of having the kind of community support and structure and resources around growing a writing practice, I can talk about creative nonfiction specifically, but I'm sure so many of what I'm sharing applies to other forms of writing too, then let me know, either by dropping a comment below, or the project that I do all of this under is called Regarding Due, and I put out letters for Regarding Due, and they're letters, they're not just newsletters, and you can sign up for that and hear about it that way. If it happens, just let me know too if you're interested in this, so I know to bring it back. It helps when you know that you have interest in putting something out into the world, right? Because it can be a bit freaky. Okay, so from there, we show up at the page, or we show up at the digital page of the document online or on our desktop. And what happens? It's a mirror. And I think it was Dani Shapiro that said that masters of the form quake before the page. It's confronting, and our stuff comes up, and we confront it, and of course there's hopelessness feelings that I think, of course, and of course there's grapplings with meaninglessness and futility and feeling potentially isolated at a different level, or recognizing the isolation around your creative practice or around the actual kind of creative artifacts that you're making. Of course, this society has been hugely atomized into, architecturally in a whole lot of ways, through labor, and without these kind of connections to other people that can reflect to us the work that you're doing matters, unless you have these support systems, which are specifically creativity support systems, not just the support systems of your friends and family, which matter, and hopefully neighbors and other community members, hopefully, right? But creativity support systems where you can have people in your community or in your network that get you and get what you're trying to do, and have certain ways of being able to look at it or hold that with you and talk about that with you. So, of course, this is what I want to say about this. When this comes up, whether it's at the beginning of you trying to write something, or it's mid-sentence, or you've actually just gotten a load of writing done for an hour and then felt deflated after, like, what? I just wasted that hour because what's going to come of this? I invite you one minute. He just went in timeout in the hallway. So I invite you with me to pause right now in this moment. And I just want to say really quick that I've seen this happen in other videos, not just on YouTube or in books. This happens in books, right? The pausing to breathe, and I always love to just skip right over that. Please, if you have a tendency to do that, please, if you can, don't, and just stay with me here for a few seconds, okay? When that happens in your writing, you can take a moment, just like we will right now, to pause, put your hand on your heart or on your belly, or if it's too much, just put it right on your legs if that's available to you. However you can kind of land into your body again. Okay, I'm going to do this because it is vulnerable being on camera. Put your hand on your heart. Remind yourself, affirm for yourself that your creativity deserves to be seen. It really deserves to be seen. And beyond that, beyond witnessing, your creativity deserves benevolent witnessing, and it deserves celebration. So for writing specifically, your writing deserves celebration. And I don't mean that in terms of accolades, and I don't mean this in an ego-based way. I mean the act of creating these, cultural artifacts that matter, that are expressing what it was like to be you, or what it was like to be here at this time, or what it wasn't like, if you're creating new worlds through your work. That deserves to be celebrated. And foundationally, it deserves to be seen. So just affirm that for yourself. And then we're going to take it in even deeper. And I ask you to, for yourself, see yourself engaging in something that matters to you. It might not be meaningful for everybody. It might not get the reach that you want. It might not. But affirm for yourself that you see you doing this and it matters. You see how meaningful it is for you. Why would you return to it otherwise? Why would you have even started it, And if you're kind of straddling on the self-doubt even, I don't know, because I'm talking to people I don't know. If you're straddling on the self-doubt of whether to give up writing, this is the invitation, the sign to please don't, and to come into a new relationship with it that is primarily self-honoring. And that might look like taking a break for a short while, but I generally find that the most self-honoring thing is to stay with what matters to us and catch our thoughts around that. Find the joy in it, find the interest in it, find what was so compelling to you about engaging in this, what idea was calling to you. Also, I'm sorry, there's an airplane right now, and I've never heard an airplane. Pathway over here. So why not weave this in? Okay, so you saw me showing up for this right now. I'll tell you right now that this is being filmed on a very old iPhone. Probably whatever date you're thinking, you can kind of rewind that a little bit. The cat's going wild. There's suddenly an airplane out of nowhere, right? This morning, for example, the mood that I woke up with was crap. When these kind of inconveniences come in, how can you come into your relationship with those as well? One way, when I go back to this, is having a writing practice creates, even conceptually within your mind, creates a boundary around what you're trying to do, so that you can have ways of relating to the inconveniences of life, which is really just life playing out. You know what I mean? Just let me move my hands a little bit more, because I realized I was doing that a lot. Okay, affirming that within yourself. And seeing if there is any kind of community or one person that you can reach out to talk about this with. Because maybe you do have a creativity support system around this. I'm going to just say right now, go out on a branch and say that most people don't have that. So I'm putting this out there. See if you can find one person that you know or that you don't know yet that you can reach out to, regardless of what their response is, or if they don't have a response. You in the act of doing that is what matters. Just like you in the act of writing and showing up for the page is what matters. And you have no idea what's going to unfold there. And I can just suggest that maybe some of what's going to unfold there is going to humble you and put you in a state of awe that you could not assume. You couldn't plan for it, but you can show up for it. I realize I'm talking for a lot, so I'm going to wrap this up right now and also just share that maybe one of these communities that might be supportive for you is something that I've been doing for just since the end of April, and was actually a huge creative leap to put this out there and to stay in it, and not like the amount of times I've wanted to kind of backtrack and be like, oh, too soon, or it's like not enough people care about that. Staying with it, and so I'm inviting you to this too if it would be supportive to you. It's called the Community Discovery Writing Group, and it's a pay what you can, drop-in friendly gathering on Zoom on Saturdays. And it's Saturday mornings if you live in the US, and it's Saturday afternoons if you're in Central European time. So I tried to find kind of time zones that are generous for people to join from wherever. And you show up. I made another video very quickly about what happens during that time, but also I'll leave the link below for more details of what we do in that Zoom call. It's an hour long. We basically do a lot of discovery writing. You can move through things quickly. We have topic prompts, but you don't have to engage with them. You can actually also just use that time to kind of discovery write into whatever writing you're bringing forth anyway, and connect with people in a deeper way there that might become partners in accountability or in feedback or in editing, whatever that is, and you can be inspired by them as well. Okay. Cheers to you. Thank you for joining me for this video. I hope that this served you. Let me know what you think. Feel free to connect on Instagram at Regarding Do. I feel like Instagram is pretty tired right now, but you can always send me a DM if you'd like. And have a great day. Take care of yourself. Be patient with yourself. One of the best things, I remember, I think it was Elizabeth Gilbert who said this, not one of the best things, but one of the most important things for any creative practice is self-forgiveness. So see where you can forgive yourself today and shake things off, and potentially invite a kind of attitude of playful reverence to what you're approaching, and see what happens. Okay, take care. Bye.